Today, I want to speak to a specific kind of heart. The heart of someone who has walked the long road of caregiving, love, exhaustion, and impossible decisions. If you've ever had to choose comfort care or hospice, or simply hold the hand of someone you love as their body grew tired, this episode's for you. Because grief doesn't begin at the funeral. It begins in the quiet moments when you realize you can't fix what's happening. And it continues in the silence afterward. The empty side of the bed. The questions that echo in the dark. The ache that doesn't ask for permission. Today we're going to talk about the what-ifs, the should-haves, the guilt that sneaks in even when you know you did everything you could. And we're going to talk about the God who walks with you through every one of those moments. There's a moment in every caregiver's journey when the world shifts, even if you don't realize it at the time. For me, it wasn't a dramatic moment. It wasn't a doctor rushing in or a sudden crisis. It was a quieter than that, almost too quiet. It was the moment I realized that the woman I had cared for, protected, and loved for so many years was slipping into a place where my hands could no longer hold her in the way that I used to. I didn't see it coming as quickly as it came. Maybe that's something only caregivers understand. How you can be right there every day, watching every change, every breath, every struggle, and still not be ready when the end is near. You think you'll have more time. You think you'll see the signs more clearly. You think you'll know when it's time. But the truth is you don't. You can't. Because love doesn't let you imagine the last day. Love keeps hoping. Love keeps fighting. Love keeps believing there will be one more morning, one more smile, one more moment where things feel normal again. And then suddenly, you're faced with decisions you never wanted to make. Words like comfort care, palliative, and hospice start entering the room. Even though you know these words are spoken with compassion, they still feel like a door closing. I can remember sitting there trying to be strong, trying to listen, trying to understand what was happening. But inside me, I was breaking. Because no matter how much you prepare, no matter how much you've given, no matter how long you've been a caregiver, you're never ready to say, it's time to let her rest. And even when you know it's the right choice, the merciful choice, it still hurts in a way that's hard to describe. It's a pain that settles deep in your chest, a pain that doesn't shout. It just sits there, heavy and quiet. After she passed, people had told me, you'd done everything right. They told me you'd been strong. They told me I had been faithful. They told me she is no longer suffering. And I believe that. I truly do. But believing it doesn't erase the ache. It doesn't stop the questions that come late at night. It doesn't silence the what-ifs that whisper when the house is too quiet. What if I had noticed something sooner? What if I had pushed a little harder? What if I had asked more questions? What if I had done one more thing? What if I'd fought a little longer? Those questions don't come from truth. They come from love. They come from the part of your heart that still wishes you could save them, even when you know saving them wasn't possible. And then there's the guilt. The guilt that shows up even when you know you made the right decision. The guilt that comes from being human, from loving deeply, from wanting to hold just a little bit longer. It's been 7 months. 7 months since Kathy passed, and there are still nights when I roll over and reach for her without even thinking. There are still mornings when the silence feels too big. There are still moments when the tears come out and they just run out. I just have to let them fall. Because grief doesn't follow a schedule. It doesn't care how strong you are. It doesn't care how much time has passed. It comes in waves. Some gentle, some overwhelming, and all you can do is breathe through them. But here's what I've learned in those moments. Grief does not sign that you failed. Grief is not a sign that you made the wrong choices. Grief is not a punishment. Grief is love with nowhere to go. Grief is the echo of life shared. Grief is the proof that you cared with your whole heart. And even in the hollow moments, the empty bed, the quiet house, the memories that still hit without warning, God is there. Not to erase the pain, but to sit with you in it. Not to take away the ache, but to remind you that love doesn't end. Not to answer every question, but to hold you steady while you learn to breathe again. This is the part of the journey no one talks about. The part after caregiving ends. The part after the decisions are made. The part after the world moves on, but your heart hasn't caught up yet. If you're in that place, if you're living that after, I want you to know this. You're not alone. Your questions don't make you weak. Your tears don't mean you failed. Your grief doesn't mean you made the wrong choice. It means you loved someone deeply. And love like that always leaves an imprint. There's something I've learned in these months since Kathy passed, and it's something I wish someone had told me earlier. Caregivers carry a kind of weight that most people never see. It's not just the physical work, the appointments, the medications, the long nights, the constant watching and worrying. It's the emotional weight, the spiritual weight, the responsibility of loving someone through their most vulnerable moments. And when the time comes to choose comfort care or hospice, or simply to stop fighting a battle that can't be won, the weight gets even heavier, not lighter. People on the outside might think it's a simple decision. They might say, you did the right thing. They might say, she's not suffering anymore. And while those words are true, they don't touch the deeper truth. Because the deeper truth is this. Comfort care is an act of love that feels like a loss. It's mercy wrapped in a heartbreak. It's compassion wrapped in fear. It's doing the right thing while wishing with everything you had that you didn't have to. If you're listening right now, and you've been in that place, I want you to hear me clearly. You did not fail. You did not give up. You did not abandon hope. You chose love in the hardest form. You chose to ease someone's suffering when you could no longer take it away. You chose presence over panic. You chose peace over prolonged pain. You chose dignity over desperation. And if you're a hospice worker or a nurse, if you've stood beside families in their darkest hours, you carry a different kind of weight. You carry the stories, the tears, the whispered goodbyes. You carry the responsibility of guiding people through moments they never imagined they'd face. You carry the sacred duty of helping someone leave this world gently. You may not hear this often enough, but what you do matters. Your calm matters. Your compassion matters. Your presence matters. You are the steady hands in the storm that no one's prepared for. And for caregivers, the husbands, the wives, the sons, the daughters who lie awake at night replaying every decision. I want to tell you something that took me months to understand. The what ifs are not signs of failure. They are signs of love. They are the mind's way of trying to rewrite a story the heart wasn't ready to finish. But here's the truth. You made the best decision you could with the information you had, in the moment you had it, with the love you carried in your chest. And love like that, love that shows up every day, love that stays until the last breath, love that chooses mercy over fear, that love is never wrong. Now, you may still feel the ache, and you may still feel the emptiness. You may still feel the guilt that sneaks in when the house is quiet. But none of that means you failed. It means you cared so deeply that your heart is still catching up with the reality of your mind already knows. And God sees that. He sees the nights you stayed awake. He sees the moments you broke down in private. He sees the strength you didn't know you had. He sees the love you poured out until there was nothing left to give. And he holds it. He holds all of it. The grief, the guilt, the questions, the memories, with the tenderness that only he can offer. You're not alone in this. Not in your questions, not in your pain, not in your healing. This journey is shared by more people than you realize. And tonight, I want you to know that your story mattered. Your love mattered. Your decisions mattered. And the person you cared for, they knew. They felt it. They carried it with them all the way home. Now, this episode's poem that I wrote is called The Last Good Night. I want to share it with you. I held your hand that final night. Your breath so soft the room was quiet. The world felt small, the shadows long, yet love stayed steady, brave and strong. I whispered things I'd meant to say, the ones I'd saved for one more day. But time slipped in without a sound, and all my words came pouring out. I prayed for peace, and I prayed for rest. I prayed I'd know what choice was best. I thought my heart was breaking through, and I chose the gentler road for you. I still reach for your side of the bed. The hollow spaces, the quiet air, reminds me that you're no longer there. And yet I know, I feel it still. Your love remains, it always will. For letting go was not the end. It was the mercy love can send. So if tonight your heart feels tight from choosing someone's last good night, know this truth, soft as prayer. You showed them love beyond compare. As we come to the end of my time today, I want to speak directly to the part of you that still aches. The part that still wonders. The part that still reaches for someone who's no longer there. Grief has a way of making us feel we're walking through a world that hasn't noticed we've changed. People go back to their routines. The days keep moving. The sun rises and sets like it always has. But inside, something is different. Something is quieter. Something is missing. And if you've been a caregiver, if you've loved someone through their final season, that quiet can feel overwhelming. Because for so long, your life was built around their needs, their comfort, their safety, and their breath. And when that ends, the silence can fill a room you don't know how to live in. But I want you to hear this. The love you gave didn't disappear with their final breath. The care you offered did not vanish when the room grew still. Every moment you stood by their side, every decision, every tear, every whispered prayer, it all mattered. It mattered more than you will ever fully understand this side of heaven. You may still feel the guilt. You may still feel and have the questions. You may still feel the ache that rises without a warning. But none of this means that you've failed. It means you love someone so deeply your heart is still learning how to carry the weight in their absence. And God sees that. He sees the nights when sleep doesn't come. He sees the mornings when the bed feels too big. He sees the moments when you hold your breath because a memory hits you so hard you have to sit down. He sees the tenderness, the devotion, the quiet courage you're living out day to day. And he whispers to you, not in thunder, not in lightning, but in the soft places of your soul. You did well. You loved well. You chose mercy. You chose compassion. You chose a path that honored their dignity and eased their suffering. And maybe tonight, that's what you needed to hear. Not that the pain will disappear. Not that the questions will suddenly stop. But you are held and you are understood. You're not walking this road alone. So after you step into the rest of your day, as you sit in the quiet, as you breathe through whatever rises in your chest, may you feel the presence of the one who walks beside you. May you feel the steady hand of God on your shoulder. May you feel the truth that love does not end. It has simply changed form. And may you find, little by little, that the hollow places begin to fill with peace. I want to thank you for spending time with me on Faith Between the Lines. I hope that the words met you gently, right where you are. And until we meet again, may God comfort you in the places that still ache. May he strengthen you in the moments that feel too heavy. And may he remind you again and again that love endures, mercy heals, and you are never, never alone.